Welcome back to No Glove Lost in partnership with DAZN. I'm Wally Downs Jr. The silent stud muffin is Jack Figg, and today this place is dripping in world titles. We have an undisputed world champion, a unified world champion, and a bona fide world champion. Listen, you two fellas were there at this first incredible fight for Josh Warrington and Leigh Wood. DAZN has supplied the action for us. Let's go and catch up on why we're so desperate to see it on DAZN again.
A few nice little shots together, but not enough, not busy enough.
This is what Josh Warrington does best, just crouching down, working the body.
Listen, this is Josh Warrington's forte, up close, hooking away. This is where he goes to work. This is where he's most comfortable.
Good shot from Leigh Wood, and suddenly has turned it all around.
Oh my days! What a shot from Leigh Wood! Accurate.
Warrington on unsteady legs. Will the referee allow it to continue here? What drama!
It's over!
What a turnaround! When everything looked to be going in Josh Warrington's favour, suddenly Leigh Wood found the punch of a lifetime. The punch of his dreams.
But Josh Warrington's now hurt. Left hook there, right to the chin. Right hook. Left hook, not quite accurate. Right hook, flush to the chin there, and left hook on his way down.
Carl, a couple of seconds before that life-changing punch, Josh Warrington lost a point for rabbit punching. And I know that's where he felt everything fell apart for him, because I think he more or less won every round. We could hear your dulcet tones on DAZN there. What do you remember from that showdown?
Well, just looking at that, it looks like Leigh Wood dominated and obviously finished him off. Absolutely spag-doodled him at the end there, didn't he? Hit him on the way down, just wrote him off. But for, 7, 8 rounds?
7.
He was getting beat. He was getting outboxed. He was getting conclusively beat. And on my card, it was like hard to give Leigh Wood a round. And I was obviously trying to be non-biased, but Leigh Wood's from Nottingham. He's a friend of mine. And I wanted him to do the job. I've got nothing against Josh Warrington. Same with the rematch. I'm impartial, but my heart's with Leigh Wood. But Leigh was getting beat, well beat. And that point you mentioned there, I know that played in Josh Warrington's mind, because he mentioned it to me when I saw him. He was like, they took a point off. That was in my head. And I thought, I've got to try and do something to make that right and try and finish the round. So I got careless. And I ended up opening up a little bit, left my chin in the air. And I just thought, well, it's a bit stupid, really. It's not a good excuse to make, because it was so far ahead. It was quite comfortable, even with a point deducted. But it was in his head. And he did try and make it right. And they ended up getting caught with a sweet shot. And Leigh Wood can punch a little bit. As you know, you've seen him before come back. Michael Conlon, in the dying seconds of the 12th round, he snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. So Leigh Wood does what Leigh Wood does. And when he lands his shots, he's a great finisher. And Josh can feel a little bit hard done by the point deduction. But this rematch is now built for something that's pretty special. No world titles on the line, but it's one that a lot of people want to see.
Barry, you was working on the radio. I think maybe Leigh Wood threw us a little bit. He boxed southpaw for most of it, and it wasn't working well for him. But then Josh committed to a shot, similar to Nick Ball the other day. Yeah. Committed to a shot, and Leigh just went that split second earlier, and it all changed.
But you can't blame him, because he was dominant. And more than being dominant, I think about round 5, I think he was, somewhere around that point, he'd hurt.
Leigh was gone in the third round, it seems.
But there was a couple of times that he looked like he could have got the stoppage. So, and he punches in combinations, doesn't he? Yeah. Warrington always, that's what he does. He dives into attacks, punches in bunches, and outworks you and gets you under pressure. So, I mean, he made a half a mistake, but in the heat of the battle, I don't think he did much wrong. I know there was controversy from his point of view when he got up and the referee stopped him with his back to the referee because they thought the round was finished, which I think it was. But he didn't show any signs that he was OK to continue. A lot of people thought, but they thought different. And I think that's the only controversy there. But apart from that, it was a fight he was dominating. He got caught with a great shot, as Leigh Wood can do time and time again. He's always in the fight when he's on his feet, so you have to be well aware. But they know that now. It just depends on how they are, how jaded they both are, I think, because they've had both long, massively successful careers, but you can't keep dipping into the well forever. And that's where the intrigue comes in on Saturday.
Let's go up to Leeds then and see what Josh Warrington and Dad Sean have got to say about that incredible first fight. Fellas, I don't want to drag up what was such a tough and horrible night for you, but do you think you could have done anything differently? Do you still look back and think that the referee just made a mistake because you did get caught, you were on your feet, you were furious with yourself for getting caught, and do you feel like the referee made a mistake?
I think he took the point without warning, to be honest with you. He seemed to be doing everything. Everything was going well, it was going fine, we were dominating, and then right out of blue, referee steps in takes the point. I think what we should have done is let that round go, started again next round. But fighter being a fighter, he's going to do. He did what he did, and he tried to chase the round back.
Josh, what I think is so incredible when we just watch back that stuff is you commit to a punch and he catches you with a right hook. You ship 6 punches undefended and you still beat the count. I mean, talk about a chin and talk about heart.
I was up on 4 or 5. A lot gets said. A lot's been said post fight. It was one punch that changed the fight. Well, it was one punch that buzzed me. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he took advantage of that and landed 4 or 5 clean, successive punches. But like you say, I was back on my feet by 4 to 5. Yeah, subconsciously, I'd heard the bell at some point, and I automatically walked back to my corner. I just feel that I should have been given the benefit of the doubt. But just quickly touching on what you said before I came on, and Carl was saying it as well. I make a big song and dance about the point getting off because I'd never had no prior warning up until then. And when you watch the punch being thrown at the start of the 7th round, Leigh stood in front of me and he turns as I've let the punch go. So what I'm meant to do, stop it while it's midpoint. So I didn't want Leigh to go back to his corner and gain any momentum. Least I can do is try and make it level. Or if not, I've had Leigh in times at parts of the fight already, maybe push for a stoppage, but in that lackluster and letting me guard go a little bit, I got carried away and got caught.
If you'd have had an immediate rematch, I'd have had no qualms with that, no problems. But you went on to fight Anthony Cacace, and I think you lost most of them rounds, Josh, and I think you felt that as well. You put your gloves down afterwards, and you come and walk past the press boys, and we thanked you for your career, and we thought that was it.
Yeah.
To come again now that we know that retirement has been in your brain and you've overachieved so much, that's when we start to worry about fighters going on too long. So how do you two boys both know that we're still doing it for all the right reasons and we've still got it in the tank?
A lot of people say this one's a career-defining fight, that one's a career-defining fight. I think we know now that this one is actually a career-defining fight, regardless of result. I think whoever loses certainly will be considering and should be considering leaving things there,
Physically, I felt fantastic. Mentally, I wasn't in the races. I couldn't get firing. I felt like I was chasing from early rounds. And, post-fight, people were saying to me, oh, just look to shadow yourself. Is it time to call it a day then? But fast forward 10 months later, and I'm back in the ring with Leigh. And obviously what happened. But up until that point, post-fight, people were speaking and saying, bloody hell, Josh, you look like a fraction of your old self. You look like you brought back the years to the days when you were fighting Lee Selby and Carl Frampton. So I know that physically, if he's still there, then that upstairs, which, when you get to the highest point, can be changed. But if that's if that's inside, then that's the main thing for me. Obviously, I know that you can't go on forever. Retirement does scare me, but I feel like I'm in a position where I can still do things in this sport. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it because it's far too dangerous.
You almost had it one in the 3rd. I don't know how Leigh Wood was standing on his feet. Again, the 4th and 5th. Do you think from what you've both learned in camps and the fights now that you can stop him? Or do you think it'll be the old Josh Warrington who just wore down fighters for the whole 12 rounds?
Leigh is a tough and he's got a hell of a heart, hell of a set of knackers, and he's shown that time and time again. But this is a case of going forward when, if the opportunity is there, close the show.
Brilliant, fellas. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in Fight Week. Josh, you're the man who was retired most recently. Carl, you've got the most iconic retirement I can think of. When he put his gloves down, that's such a big thing to do. It's a public thing to do. Yeah. He felt that was the perfect time to say goodbye. Sometimes you just can't let it go. And he said there, scared of retirement. He's not afraid to admit.
Scared of retirement. It can be a dangerous thing. My belief is that I think Josh has obviously done well financially as well in the game. So I don't think that's a motivation for him. I think he's doing this because he still feels that he's performing well. And if the two of them are really honest with each other or are being honest with each other and they're like, well, it's not really there in sparring, you're not really showing this, you're not quite as quick or quite as then I think the two of them, father and son, would say, right, it's maybe time to leave it. But they're obviously seeing signs in the gym that they think that they can do it. So who are we to say, no, I think they should stop it? You know, they're obviously seeing it, they're still performing well in the gym, and it's another big fight. And me personally, you know, I had Josh ahead quite comfortably. So, and during that fight, until Leigh came up with the equaliser, which is obviously well known for. But yeah, I think it's a great fight again. You know, so it's another really good fight.
When you're in a fight like that, whether you take a shot and your head gets knocked back and you feel like you need to get him back, how hard is it to keep your composure and not want to go back in there and prove a point? That's
the inner warrior in you, the inner fighter in you. So you've hit me, right, I'm going to get you back now. I'm going to get you, watch this, I'm going to get you back better and harder. But then maturity comes in, you got to say, right, okay, it's a game of chess, not checkers. You say, okay, nice one, I'll get you back later on in the fight.
I didn't want to disagree or interrupt Josh there, but I watched the whole fight back the other day and he was warned in the very, very first round for rabbit punches. Ron Lewis, the great old times boxing judge, used to hate rabbit punches because they are really dangerous. You know, a low blow can be an accident, but if you keep getting hit on that soft part of your brain, it's dangerous. But he's very honest and open. Like, everyone knows how Josh Warrington fights, Barry, don't they?
He's not a dirty fighter. I don't think
he's not a dirty fighter.
No, but I think he's naturally is a dirty fighter because he comes in with his head. I don't think it's planned, just the way he slides in. He slides in with his head quite often.
It's quite scrappy, isn't it?
Yeah, and because he swings punches, because he loops his punches, then if you're not on the perfect range to take it on the chin, it's going to go the back of your head. People don't realise about the referee, everything's at his discretion. I mean, everything. He can stop the round in 2 minutes rather than 3 minutes. I mean, he would never work again, but he can do what he wants. Everything's his choice. He's in charge. So he doesn't have to warn you. But we think you have to be warned 3 times before you get a point away. That's our conclusion of what happens, and it's not. But you do think you should have some sort of warning, and maybe he just didn't realise it. But he was warned, I think he was, and he is naturally that. And fighters, because they know that, they will overplay it, by the way.
Yeah.
They're getting each other at the right time. I mean, you talk about, you know, boxer, or he said, certainly, like, I know boxers know when it's right. I mean, you don't, because...
They're the last ones to admit it, aren't they?
I mean, even if you know, I mean, boxers are the biggest liars in the world. We lie about weight, we lie about money, we lie about how we feel, we lie about our preparations, because you can't give nothing away. And certainly, all the money's at the end of your career. So how do you walk away from money? And certainly this fight, because he's not boxing a young guy on the way up. He's not boxing one of the current champions who's at his peak. He's boxing a guy who's still a good fighter, and they're both good fighters, but probably both jaded enough to be competitive at this level, but maybe not the one above.
Yeah.
The world champions, they wouldn't be good enough, I don't think, anymore, in my opinion. Be up for this fight, fine, but I mean, carrying on after this is a big money fight.
Yeah.
With someone who's lost a step like you have, which will make it a really good fight, by the way, to watch for the fans and the people at home, and for us as well. You know, and what a way to go out in another war, win or lose. You go out in another fantastic fight.
There's a bit of needle in it as well, isn't there, between these two? And you guys, all, you know, you two especially know about needle and rivalry. How much more does that play into it when you guys obviously don't like each other?
You maybe think about them a little bit when you're having hard days in the gym grafting, doing the graft sessions, but you don't really think about that too much, really. You're just focusing on yourself and what you want to do and implement in the fight. That was me personally. I don't know how Carl used to think, but that was me, how I used to think, was focusing on what I wanted to do and implement in the fight rather than the opponent.
Well, you're right. It is a personal thing. It's down to your personality and your character. And I think yourself not getting personally involved, I think that's great, concentrating on your job. But for me, in the rematch with Groves, it was very personal. The first fight was torrid. I got dropped in round 1. I got battered for 6 rounds, and then my mate Howard swooped in and sorted the job out, and the rest is history. But in the rematch, I wanted to get him. I wanted to make it conclusive. I wanted revenge. But the important thing for me in the rematch, I knew that was going to be my last fight. I went into the training camp saying to my wife and saying to my brother and my mum, everybody but Rob McCracken, really, because I didn't want to say to my coach, this is the last time I'm going to do it. I want to leave it after this, because I didn't want him to be thinking that I'm thinking I'm going to retire. But that motivated me, because every morning run that was hard, and every time I had to strap my elbows up and get my neck massaged, because the back of my neck's sore, my lower back's being cracked back into place, I'm thinking to myself, this is the last time I'm going to do it. And part of me thinks that Leigh Wood's on a similar mindset, which I think would be good, because if him and Josh Warrington, if they're both thinking to themselves, you know what, this is the last roll of the dice, or maybe not even roll of the dice, just the last fight, decent payday, let's go in there. There's a backstory, because the first fight was Leigh Wood was getting beat, and then he snatched victory, didn't he, from the jaws of defeat with that combination he put on Josh Warrington. And he'll be thinking, people are saying I'm finished, and they lost to Cacace as well, so he won't want to go out on a loss. So he might be thinking, right, it's a big fight because it's a rematch. Let's make a few quid and go out on a win. But win or lose or draw, he can say, you know what, I went for it. It's my last hurrah. I've got paid. Sail off into the sunset. And Josh Warrington, I think, is probably a little bit more finished than Leigh Wood in terms of ring wars and fights. He's had some great wins, but he's also had a lot of hard wins and hard losses as well. And I just think he's probably at the end of his career. And what he'll say and his dad will say live towards there will be different to actually what's in their head. They'll be thinking to themselves, let's have one last go at this, one last bite of the cherry. And then if we win, let's see what comes, because you're not going to walk away from a big payday. Like Barry said, you earn most of your money at the end of your career. If one of them if the winner of this fight gets an opportunity, I'm sure they'll look at it and say, you know what, it's big money this, and they'll probably go for it. But I like to think that they're both going into this fight thinking, this is the last fight. So we're going to get the best last of Josh Warrington, the best last of Leigh Wood, and we're going to get a cracker. I think it's going to be a great fight. And I don't think Leigh Wood's going to start, because he always starts slow, Leigh Wood does. He comes out and his chin's in the air, gets hit with shots, and then after 2 or 3 rounds, he kind of wakes up and he's in the game. He can't afford to do that this time, but I'm looking forward to an absolute cracker.
We might get the best of Josh Warrington, we might get the best of Leigh Wood, but neither of those fellas have got the best of Cacace. And talk me through both of those fights with them two fellas, because they both had such storied careers. We've just gone through the wins that Josh Warrington had. And you more or less dominated them both, probably both times as the underdog.
You know, last fight territory for the both of them. It's a very interesting fight, and I'm sure it makes for a great fight.
When you're fighting Leigh Wood, is it in your mind in the 9th, 10th, when you know how good he is, that he's always got that equaliser, or is it not a problem because you're so confident in what you've got?
You know, I feel like none of these guys are on my level. We're well aware Leigh carries serious power. Also, Josh, very strong, tough. So, I mean, I watched the last one. Josh was controlling it very well. And we all seen what happened. Leigh caught him the big shot. So both of them are very dangerous. And again, at the end of their careers. So they're going to put it all on the line. And I really am expecting a great fight.
Is Josh Warrington a dirty fighter, or is he just Yorkshire's Mexican version?
He's just a good, solid pro. You know, I mean, this is the way it goes. He's rough and tough. And I remember after the fight, my hips were purple. Do you know what I mean? I had bruises all over me. But that's his style, and I think that's the way he rolls.
But we saw after his fight with you, Josh Warrington put his gloves down when he's got 3 lovely kids at home. We know he's hopefully made plenty of money. A couple of times been a world champion. When someone makes that big public retirement statement to come back again, you sort of worry, what's the motivation now? You've seen the way out, your foot's halfway gone.
Yeah. Well, them two have a past. They have history. I mean, I've followed them over the years. You know, that's proper hate. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what is motivating Josh. More so Leigh. Do you know what I mean? So Josh is them, you know, rough and tough fighters. Leigh's more composed. So I think that's what's keeping Josh in the game, you know, knowing that he wants to get back on Leigh for the last one.
Every punch that Leigh throws, there's going to be a massive roar. Yeah. Judges are going to hear that. The referee is going to hear that. That can also have a massive influence into how a fight that's already had one controversial ending could have another one.
That's all benefiting Leigh, you know, the crowd behind him. Anytime he throws a jab, lands a jab, but you know, the crowd go mad. But Josh they're both very experienced fighters, and you know, it really depends what happens on the night. Really, you know, I know that they both want this, and again, I'll go back to this is kind of, they're at that stage when Conor was saying, you only make money. It seems to be you only make money when you're on your way out of this game.
Threatening to retire.
Yeah, same for me. Like before, I hadn't got a hit me for pretty sure. I'm 35 and things have turned good. So it's hard to walk away from these big paydays and big fights. And we've all been in the game, so we know how, you know, it makes you feel. And yeah, so it's one of them catch-22 moments for the both of them.
And if you beat Jazza Dickens and the winner of this one starts calling for a rematch to try and avenge that one, would you be interested?
If I beat Jazza, which is a real 50-50 fight, Jazza has just won a world title. He 15 years he's been waiting to get into this position. I would be looking more at, you know, Navarrete, Nunes, some of these other champions, and for a big unification.
I was in Turkey when Jazza pulled that win off. at the IBA show. It was incredible. It was in a tiny little room with about 99 Russians and one Scouser, and he put on the performance of a lifetime. He looked incredible shape for a man of his age. It's going to be a mouth-watering fight on DAZN.
Yeah. Listen, I'm really excited. I'm putting in the hard work. I mean, I'm raring to go. I know I'm up against a great fighter and someone who just won a world title. They don't want to lose it right away. So this is more than boxing. This is going to come down to guts and will to win. So we're going to have to see on the night who has more of it, you know.
Lovely. Well, I shall be coming over to watch that one, and I look forward to meeting up with you, Anto.
Thank you very much.
What do you make out of that? Who he thinks is the fighter that's going to win?
I think there's a feeling, and I think Cal sort of half mentioned it, that there's more left in Leigh Wood than Josh Warrington. I'm not so sure. But you go back to Leigh Wood's career when he looked like he was just going to be British levels. I can't believe I said that. When he was boxing the British levels, it's mad, isn't it? When he was boxing the British level, he knocking people up. He was always in hard fights. He's just extremely tough. Like it's in the water in Nottingham, obviously. But I mean that the signal from your brain to your limbs is just a fraction too slow. And that's where you get caught. All of a sudden, your jab is just a little bit too short, or you just pull back a little bit, or the catch and counter is just a little bit too slow, and you can't get that like he did against Josh Warrington in the first fight. Like he sees the gap and goes for it. He couldn't do that against Cacace. I know they're different fighters, but is that a sign that I think people say things like your chin goes I don't think it's your chin. I think it's your vision. Okay. And then when your vision goes, you just don't see the punch till it's too late, or you don't see it at all. And then you give him a free shot. No, you got one of the best chins in boxing. I mean, but no, you see it, you tense or you block. Mm-hmm. But if you don't see it, it puts you on your backside because he's been on the floor. I mean, you're a prime example of that. You don't see it, it puts you on the floor. And I think when you get a bit older and more jaded, I think that happens. And for someone like Leigh Wood, who has to dine out on his toughness, especially against someone like Warrington who's a busier fighter, then I would tend to think that probably makes Warrington the bigger favourite for me because even though he has got miles on the clock, he's still a high energy, Duracell bunny type of fighter, isn't he? But he also throws lots of punches. That's in his makeup. He's never going to change that way. He might get caught coming on, by the way. That might be the same for him with his vision, where someone like Wood, who has good timing, good, you come forward, will catch you and put you to sleep.
Carl, what do you make of Leigh Wood's transformation in style since moving to DAZN in London?
Yeah, he's got a few tricks, hasn't he? I mean, he's always been quite a reactive fighter, as Barry Jones was pointing out, with the reflexes. So as that slows down when you get older, then against somebody who's just coming forward and just letting work rate and letting shots go and walking through shots, then I think that would favour Josh Warrington. But I think Leigh Wood, stylistically wise, he's always kind of been quite loose and flary and a bit awkward, a bit disjointed at times. And it serves him well because he can punch. Yeah. I think he's always had that. Ben Davison's probably tidied it up a little bit for him and he feels comfortable when he's got Ben Davison in his corner. And that's what's important. If he's got respect for his coach, he goes back to the corner every round and he's like, he believes in him and he believes what he's saying and he takes the advice. And he's good. He knows what he's doing, Ben Davison. He's operated at world level in a couple of big fights, as we know, with Fury and that. And both of these fighters, Warrington and Wood, they're both at that part of their career where they've both slowed down a little bit. Barry picked up on it early and he's dead right what he's saying, because when I was fighting, when I was 34, 35 years old, when I boxed Butte, even though I went in there and demolished him in 5 rounds.
That was a hell of a finish, wasn't it?
The Butte fight, though, I was letting shots go and I could see I had him. I was bouncing my gloves off the bottom of his chin and bouncing his head all over the place. But when I was putting the shots together, I could feel myself. I felt like I was stuck in mud a little bit. I was like, I could see the shot and I was like, just a little bit behind it. And he was counter-punching me with the odd shot in the first 3 or 4 rounds. But I could feel myself slowing down, especially in that first Groves fight. And then in the rematch, I knew for a fact I was chasing my tail. So I had to stay calm, keep my guard up, just back him up, cut the ring off. And then when the moment came, I timed him with a perfect right hand.
You dictated the pace in the second fight.
Dictated the pace,
so you're in control, aren't you?
Controlled the centre of the ring. But I knew I wasn't firing all cylinders. When I fought Pascal and when I fought Jermaine Taylor in round 12 and stopped him in the dying seconds, it was just 18 punches unanswered. I was just throwing them at the end of round 12 because I had that engine, I had that fitness and that sharpness. Even though I'd been dropped in round 3, I still felt sharp. So both these guys have gone over that cliff, over the edge of the best. They're both going to be sort of hanging on to something. So it's a lot of it's going to be mind games on the night. It's going to be in the mind. Who fancies it more? Who's had a good training camp? and who goes into the ring believing. And that's why I think Leigh Wood's got a big advantage being in Nottingham. I've never lost in Nottingham. And when you're in your home crowd and you've got your friends, I always talk about myself, don't I? But apologies for that. But when you're at home with your home crowd and everything's in your favour and you're drinking your own water and everything's familiar for you, you get in the ring happy and you're confident and you hear the crowd and it lifts you. It really does. And if the crowd's against you, it goes the other way. So Josh Warrington will be feeling sorry for himself after round 5, 6 if he's not getting his own way.
And I think because he knows he has power, I think he's just given a little bit more structure to go, don't panic when they rush you, don't panic, because you've got that power. They feel it, you hit, and they'll slow them down. So that's why he can land with big shots, because he doesn't rush his work anymore. I think that he maybe did earlier in his career. And I think that's what set him apart from that Kanzu fight on, where he just realised, actually, I got more time than I think.
Would you say it favours Leigh Wood more the longer it goes?
I'm confused about this, because I think if you think you've hurt Leigh Wood, you've got to go for it. But Leigh Wood's dangerous in the first round, he's dangerous in the last round. I mean, I don't know what you do there. I mean, if I was Warrington, I'd just win every round. Yeah. And more importantly, your chin's got to be a no-go zone.
Do you think there'll be an element of Leigh Wood taking it past the 6, trying to just take his time a little bit? Or do you think he'll go for it?
I think Leigh will go for it. I think they're both going to know. To concentrate in the fight, as we all know, is very difficult. I know most guys never stopped anybody. I mean, so to keep that concentration is very hard. Yeah. So you start to wane, and then when you wane, your concentration, you get caught more, obviously. But so they'll be well aware of that, because they've been in fights previously, but they couldn't do what they did before. So they'll both be thinking they need a fast start to get a lead. I think Warren will want a big lead and try and hang on if possibly, and Wood will certainly want to make that power felt very, very early. Arguably, he makes it a better fight.
Right, moving on to another huge bout across the Atlantic in Las Vegas this Saturday, as Mario Barrios defends his WBC welterweight world title against Ryan Garcia live on DAZN pay-per-view. It's been sort of 10 years since Ryan Garcia turned pro, and still there seems to be a question of, is it style over substance? And I think maybe his antics on social media sometimes take away from the fact that he was a good amateur. He had almost 250 amateur bouts, has beat good names like Luke Campbell. But do you think the fact that he is so active and he is quite manic at times takes away from the talent he's got?
He's probably not what everyone thought he was, like in terms of his followers. If you don't understand boxing, you've probably got Ryan Garcia as this real flash kid, good-looking, fast hands, explosive power. Then he lost to Tank Davis with that body shot and he got called a quitter. And such a big star and a big name, he's getting these kind of opportunities for world titles. Does he deserve it? Has he put himself in a position where he deserves to actually step in and fight for a world title? There's a couple of people probably in front of him in that sense. Yeah. But they don't generate the money, don't generate the wealth. And as we know, money talks. And the rest sit there and watching, thinking, when's my turn? But Ryan Garcia, massive name, fantastic talent. He is a great talent. And he's easy on the eye to watch. He's an exciting fighter. So it sells. And against Barrios, it's a very winnable fight.
But Cole, you mentioned there about, is there more deserving people in front of him? The person in front of him at the moment is Conor Benn by the WBC's rankings. He hasn't won a fight at welterweight in 3 years. So is that, to all your points, because Conor Benn is a hot name at the moment and he's a big star, does that supersede almost anything else?
It shouldn't do, but it sometimes does. I mean, I don't know if I'd put Conor Benn in there with a Haney or with Garcia. Maybe a Garcia, maybe not. More so a Barrios, but just watched Teofimo Lopez and who did he fight? Shakur Stevenson. Oh, yeah. If I'm managing Conor Benn, I wouldn't want to put him in with there. And I called him a novice a couple of weeks ago, which I probably shouldn't have done because he's not a novice. But in my eyes, when you've not won an English, British, Commonwealth, European title, you're still building. And there's nothing to say that he can't go in with some of these top boys and beat them. But there's nothing to suggest that he definitely does. So I can't go out on a limb and say, yeah, he'll win a world title in his next fight, Conor Benn, which makes a mockery of the ranking. But the ranking sometimes gets pushed up and gets elevated. Is that the WBC?
WBC, yeah.
See, sometimes the WBC, I'm not saying they're corrupt, but sometimes it can be manipulated or that sometimes it can favour certain fighters, as all the belts can. And you can find yourself ranked for not really beating other ranked fighters. So I wouldn't say Conor Benn's deserved of a shot, but maybe he'll get his shot at the winner.
And Froch, and Cole, you said, if you were...
I don't mind if you call me Froch. Call me the Cobra if you want.
Yeah. Say, oi, Froch. Call you Fruity. See how that works.
Cole, you mentioned just a second ago that if you were managing Conor, you wouldn't necessarily put him in there with a Shakur. Would you be tempted to have him wait and sit out and try to fight the winner of Garcia Barrios? We don't know what Ryan's doing. He's quite unpredictable, and that probably wouldn't be till pushing end of the year. Or would you have him go in there against maybe a Rolly Romero or would you have him wait for the big one, Garcia?
I think you've got to take the opportunities when they come, and as long as he's not going to get splattered by anyone, which he might not unless he gets totally outclassed by Shakur Stevenson, who's a quality fighter. It's no. I'm not giving Conor Benn stick saying he's probably going to struggle against Stevenson, because Stevenson's probably going to beat anybody, because he's that gifted and that talented. So you have to take your chances. And Josh Taylor's just become IBF champion. In and around. Sorry, Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly. That's the
Josh Kelly. Yeah,
that's the knockdown in the first Groves fight. That is. So Josh Kelly's just become IBF world champ. He's in and around that weight, and there's talk of that. That's an interesting fight, but even then, you've still got to say, do you put Conor Benn in with Kelly, because dangerous fights. Is it a massive fight yet? Probably not. Josh Kelly's got to do something. But Conor Benn's putting himself in and around that mix. He's making all the noise. Yeah. He's a big name after the Eubank 2 fights. So he's got to be careful what he wishes for. But he's a big name, big fights. But if you're managing him, who do you put him in with to keep him safe? That's the big question. I honestly don't know.
And Wally, going back to what you were saying about maybe Benn being a big name for a lot of money, it seems like that's almost the case for Barrios as well. He's, in America, the most picked-on champion. He's fought Gervonta Davis, fought Manny Pacquiao. Do you think they're seeing him as an easy touch, and is that why the guys like Garcia and Benn have been elevated, accelerated?
I mean, he's a good boxer, and he's a good fighter, by the way, and he is. People think he's rubbish. He can box, and he is sort of world level, but he doesn't have crazy power, and he hasn't got the fastest hands or feet. So he does everything right, but nothing's exceptional. And that's why they target him, because you go, there's nothing that you massively would fear from him to watch out for. Just his all-round game is pretty good, which you tend to think at world level you will get found out. Like when you have no power like me, you get to a level and you get found out dramatically. He doesn't have an A plus in any category, but he's a really solid B plus across the board.
All-rounder.
Yeah, which makes him a good fighter and this won't be an easy night for Garcia, though Garcia could knock him out with the first punch he throws. But Garcia looked awful against Rolly Romero.
I haven't really seen much Ryan Garcia on podcasts or doing media stuff, and I think that would be, if he was having a bet, you would probably think I'd have loads of money on Garcia if you're a betting man. But I want to see what the geezer's like up there, because again, his social media posts have been quite erratic. He's one of them that I want to see in fight week. I want to see, because he's missed weight before. He beat Haney, but he couldn't even fight for the world title because he missed the weight.
And didn't care, by the way.
Didn't care. Disgraceful. Would that concern? I mean, you could still fight tomorrow at your weight, but do you want to see what he looks like before you lay the easy bet?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of unpredictable. You don't know where you stand with Ryan Garcia, and you feel like he's had a great career, but what's he actually achieved? He's been in some big fights, but what's he done? What's his legacy? And he's a social media star. He's obviously a top fighter, a long amateur career, achieved loads, but as a professional, I feel like he's still got it all to do. And you don't know where he is with his head. I mean, when he was on his...
all over the place, hasn't he?
He's been all over the place. He was on social media, going out there on a limb and talking about Bohemian Grove. I mean, we won't get into that, but it was very sort of controversial. So, where is it? We're not going to know until fight week. We're going to see it fight week. And you said there about fight week, you want to see him at the press conference, you want to see him at the weigh-in, listen to what he has to say, see some more training clips, get some gym news from the sparring, and then fight night will be... We're going to have to wait and see, have a look. It's exciting because you don't know what Ryan Garcia is going to turn up.
I personally think it might be a good thing. He might have said to himself,
a good thing for
chuck
Garcia.
that away, I'm focusing on the fight, I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm shutting out from the world, and I'm going to focus on this job at task. So I think that might be a good thing. That's what he might be doing. You don't know, but I guess we won't know until fight week, and we see him on fight week at the press conferences and things like that. So,
and he could look great against Barrios.
Yeah,
Barrios is the sort of fight that could really make Ryan Garcia look like he's back and look like he's back in the game at top level.
How does Barrios weigh up defending against that left hook of Garcia, which is his honey punch, and worrying about it too much and getting clipped with something else?
That's the thing. I mean, I say it all the time to people, because I know what I've been on the other end. If you have power, make him feel it early. Golovkin should just hit you anywhere. He didn't want to care, but just because you know that. And if you make a mistake, that's Naz would do it. Remember Naz? He dipped on, he'd throw a screw, like a corkscrew shot. Didn't matter where it hit. It didn't really hit. You'd feel, you go, woof. And then you're on notice then. And what happens as a fighter then against that is you think, I can't make a mistake. And while you're thinking, I can't make a mistake, you're tensing up. Yeah. And as you tense up, it constricts your muscles. Shorter punches, you're snatching the shots, and they slow you down. It's amazing. They may look faster than they are because they've slowed you down with the fear of you not making a mistake because you're going to get knocked out. And I think that's the thing with Garcia. I think you've got to worry that you don't take a shot at him because he has got speed and power. But if you're too negative and don't throw any punches, he'll just bully you. So you've got to get that right. My worry for Barrios is he's got a smooth rhythm, but it is a little bit this pace.
He's not really doesn't really stand out in any category.
Doesn't accelerate with his work, does he?
You can't really say what he does really good. He's really good at this or he's really good at that. He's kind of just sort of solid all round sort of thing. So there's nothing that you can say to him and go, right, he's really good at this, you need to watch for that. He's just kind of solid all round.
And he's got Joe Goosen in the corner, who only a year or two ago was training Garcia and actually has known Ryan since he was like 17. In reality, it might not mean anything, but do you think that is a psychological advantage that Barrios' trainer knows Ryan Garcia so well?
I think it's a bit of an advantage, yeah. Joe Goosen knows his stuff. He knows the game. He may have never boxed, but he's been in there with top fighters. And I think, yeah, because he knows the other fighter, that will be a little bit in his head. Because he'll be giving him little tips and tactics, and that'll be niggling away at him inside his head, thinking, oh, he's told him this, he's told him that. So any tiny little edge in a fight that's pretty close, and this one could be close, I think anything helps.
If Ryan Garcia wins, do we expect Conor Benn to fight him next, or at least this year?
It's a big, massive fight, isn't it? Financially, it's the biggest fight for both of them. He'll see Benn as an easier option physically, but financially more rewarding, probably.
Was you asking if Garcia would take the fight with Benn, or if Benn would take the fight with Garcia?
But do you think Benn will hold
you're right,
out
Garcia would take the fight, because Garcia would see that. I don't want to say an easy torch. But do you think Benn would be in this mindset that...
No, I think of all his faults that he looks like, the things we do that he doesn't know he can do physically, Benn, yet, because he hasn't learned his trade properly, I don't think. But from where he started, he's done tremendously well to get where he is. This is not. I don't think it's bravado with him. I think he genuinely believes that he can beat anyone.
Why has he never beat anyone for the English title then?
Yeah, I'm not.
You mean it now because of Eubanks?
I think so. I think he always
understood.
And also, I'm not in the Conor Benn business, so I'm not defending him. I'm just trying to be a bit objective. But I also say that he don't box for those titles because there's no money in it for him or them. He didn't need to. I mean, it's not right. But the system in boxing has never been fair. I mean, otherwise heavyweights get overpaid.
Also, again, it's the promoters and managers looking after their investment that they put into them as well.
So there's
a lot of that at play as well.
He had 2 hard fights against Eubank. Well, one hard fight, the other one was an easy night for him. But now he's at the level now where all these fights are going to be hard. But like you've said, I've got that money that's going to be set up for life. I'm looking for a world title, and we'll see if he's good enough.
Boxing twice at 160, going straight into a 147-pound fight.
Dangerous.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is dangerous, especially that weight at that size, from 160 down to 147. Mm-hmm. If you're a light heavyweight, maybe coming back down to super middle, to come down from 160 to 154 and expect to be able to perform.
Yeah, that's the
straight away. I think it's dangerous
to perform. Yeah, making the weight one thing. Yeah. Performing with the same energy and
12 rounds as well.
And ferociousness, which he needs.
Putting on all that
way.
muscle to get up to that weight in the first place, to then take off the muscle and that again to get back down. It's going to be hard work.
If you were Conor, would you want your own Vegas night against Garcia if they fight, or would you be bringing him back here, home advantage?
Where does it sell better, and who's paying the most money for?
Well, we keep getting told it would sell out Wembley. That's a tough ask. But do you think it's a Vegas fight or a Wembley fight?
It's hard to sell out Wembley, mate. Don't sell out Wembley that easy. You know.
Vegas. It's a Vegas fight. I think even this day, even though the landscape has changed, the site fee they'd offer for that for Garcia, I think it would be enough. And Vegas I think Ben's not a big enough name as well. I think.
Right, we'll get the big fight predictions in a moment, but first let's take a look at what is coming up ahead on DAZN. We've got Clarissa Shields versus Franchon Cruz DAZN 2 on the 22nd of February in Detroit, USA. Then we have Owen Cooper versus Konstantin Arusa on February the 28th in Birmingham. That's followed by Jazza Dickens versus Anthony Cacace on the 14th of March in Dublin. Moses Atama takes on Jermaine Franklin in their rescheduled 28th of March fight in Manchester. And finally, a heavyweight cracker, Derek Chisora, takes on Deontay Wilder on the 4th of April in London.
I like the look of the Chisora fight, actually, Wilder, just because I was chatting to Del Boy a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't want him to fight again, but this is his 50th, I think, and he wants that big fight.
It's both their 50th.
Yeah, is it both
100 fights?
Is it? Yeah.
It's crazy.
And yeah, I didn't want to see Chisora getting in there and getting his head punched in by somebody who's quite lively, like someone like a Toma, just punch his head in and hurt him, and then either stop him or probably stop him. you need him in with a good dance partner at this stage of his career. And Deontay Wilder, looking at his last couple of fights and seeing how he's struggled, and he looks like he's lost power. I reckon that's the last thing to go. But if you can't throw the punch correct, then you're not going to have any power behind it. And Deontay Wilder looks like he's really struggling. Derek Chisora's obviously getting old. He's worn out, but he'll come forward with his gloves up, slip and slide, and put his head on his opponent's chest and throw punches away. The crowd will get behind him as well. So at the O2, a bit of an old Finnish legend in terms of Wilder, because that trilogy with Fury, everyone knows him for that. Big knockout man as well, is he? I think one of his record at one stage was 38 wins, 38 knockouts before he then got the draw and then the 2 losses. Like, unbelievable power. And I feel like he's just disjointed now. And he had a little session on the ayahuasca, and that messes around with the dimethyltryptamine, DMT, and I don't know what happened, but he's gone all spiritual, and the power's been... Someone sucked his soul from him. And I just think it's a safe fight for Chisora. It's interesting.
Safe?
It could kind of go, yeah, it's safe, because Wilder's looking like his soul's left him now.
Yeah, it's not as much.
That's one I'm looking forward to. There's a couple of good ones on there.
Back to the main event. No fence sitting. Predictions around the panel, please. Wood versus Warrington, method and why?
Great fight, great rematch. Really looking forward to it. I'm always going to pick Leigh Wood. It's going to be biased because he's my guy from Nottingham. When somebody's got that power, that edge in power, I always sort of think to myself, your money's sort of safe if you've got a puncher's chance. And Leigh Wood carries power for 12 rounds. So it's a close fight, a great fight, but I think Leigh Wood will win by stoppage or knockout.
Josh, you mentioned it earlier on about that Ingle stance, Ingle style, sometimes includes switching stances. Yeah. You get caught in two minds, and that's when you get caught with a shot. What are you thinking?
I'm in two minds as well, to be honest. But I just think if Leigh Wood stays to his orthodox stance and his boxing, then he can probably make it quite a good fight and outbox him, maybe even get the stoppage again. But if he's doing the switching and all that, I think that Warrington will win. I think Warrington will win. He was outboxing him quite comfortably in the last fight, near enough every round, until obviously Leigh pulled out that haymaker that he's got, that Wood power. So hopefully I've made the adjustments for him to stay orthodox and work behind that lead hand and that long at the end of his range. I think then Leigh would kind of box him and then win the fight. So I'm going to go on Leigh Wood points.
I'm going to go Warrington with the stoppage.
Even though they've gone up the weight though as well.
I do, yeah. I think it helps them both actually, you know.
Yeah.
Because the age, you'd be happy for that extra few pounds. I just think. I think his style, that buzzsaw sort of style, it doesn't really help Leigh Wood, especially at this stage of his career, this age. I think body shots will be the difference. I think you'll see the shot that Cacace caught Wood with. That's what really done him. He's bent him in half, and I think they'll focus more on that than they did in the first fight. And what I don't see is Wood outboxing Warrington. Ironically, I know you guys both say sort of subscribe to that potentially. I do see Wood catching Warrington coming in or going back and knocking him out, because that's what Leigh Wood does. Conor, Warrington, he's the master at that. But
I did say Leigh Wood by stoppage.
No, you did. You said, but I can see him on boxing. I don't agree with you. I mean, and we're fan enough where you can't hit me. But I would say I'm going to go with Warrington with a late stoppage in a great fight.
And moving over to Las Vegas, Barrios, start with you. Mario Barrios or Ryan Garcia?
Ryan Garcia, and I think he gets the stoppage, and I think it's going to be sort of anywhere from round 4 to 7.
Yeah, I second that. I think Garcia will stop Barrios. I think he's a little bit too sharp with the hand speed and got quite good timing. Anything in particular in his arsenal you think, he's really good at that. He's kind of just solid all round. Whereas Garcia's got the speed, he's got the power, and you can learn how to be a little bit more patient without that left hook. So
I wouldn't be surprised if Barrios goes in there and systematically backs up Ryan Garcia, breaks him down and gets to him and either stops him or wins on points. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but if I've got to guess right because I'm being pushed off a cliff, I'm going to say I'm picking Garcia. So I don't want to get pushed off the cliff, and I think the smart money's on Garcia because of the power, stylistically, and that speed, the hand speed with the power against somebody who's quite ordinary. We're calling him a good all-rounder. He's a great fighter, Barrios.
Garcia, again, isn't the best of boxers either.
He's not,
he's not the best of boxers
either.
He
catches them off guard, then he catches them with them shots.
He's only got that left hook and that speed. Once you get used to that speed...
I think his jab, though, I know his jab's not great, his jab's not great, but it's so fast, and when he throws it, I think he makes you panic a little bit, and I think Barrios will bite at that, you know what I mean? And a more seasoned fighter, or a fighter who's got more belief in what he does, will just think it's there and are worried about it. But I think Barrios will bite on it and then overreach.
Walk into it.
He throws the left foot off the jab as well.
Yeah, that's he throws it and then he go whap, and it's so fast you can't get out the way.
Garcia won't have to go looking for Barrios. He'll be in front of him, and I think he'll catch him. So Garcia by knockout.
Yeah. Right, that is the final bell. Thank you to our guests, the Cobra, the Tornado, and Barry. Huge fights this Saturday night. Make sure you're watching them all live on DAZN.
And don't forget, the DAZN Ultimate subscription gives you a minimum of 12 pay-per-views per year, including Barrios versus Garcia. And don't miss Split Decision on Monday, where we'll break down all the drama after the dust settles. We will see you there.